This is Tom Lesher with the Weekly Paleo Report. It's May 4th, 2011, Wednesday, and we just had the new moon in Taurus on Monday. So this week is about the first quarter of the moon moving through Gemini, goes into Cancer on Friday for just a whoop-de-doo weekend, which I'll get into, and then it moves into Leo on Monday and wraps back around to Virgo by the next time you get this report. So, what this looks like, and I spoke about it a little bit last week. It's interesting that we have Mercury, Venus traveling together through Aries, catching up to Mars, and Jupiter is right there. We still have a number of planets in Aries, but this new moon in Taurus sets the tone for the month. And we want to look at Taurus as being so different than this Aries energy that we have had the last month or so. Because Taurus is fixed. Taurus is solid. Taurus is grounded. And we come up to that point, and particularly Thursday and Friday, where the sun hits 15 degrees of Taurus. That's a semi-square to the 0 degrees Aries point. And that is an evolutionary gate. And that evolutionary gate has to do with doubt. What we begin with an impulse in Aries and an intuition and new beginnings that we had with that solstice point when the sun just went in March 20th, 21st, and we had these impulses and these desires and these potential possibilities, and we wanted to shoot forth and shoot out, and we made decisions and took action. Well, now, 6 weeks later, that sun comes into that 45-degree angle, and it's time to reconsider. And we kind of look back, and we begin to question some of those impulses or some of that intuition. And so it's a very challenging time. Taurus wants to hold on. Like I said, it's fixed. And so there can be this dilemma going on a little bit about, do I break free? Do I break loose? Do I let go? Do I move on? Do I follow that new impulse? Or do I return to the past and try to recreate or maybe undo the last 6 weeks and go back and start over again, or pick up what was left off? I would say probably the worst part or the worst challenge having to do with that is wanting to do both. Move on and retain. So, like, I want this new stuff or this new relationship or this new life, but I don't want to let go. Taurus is possessive and holding on, and I need these things for my financial security or my sense of self-worth and my possessions. I don't want to let go of these things. But the new impulse requires that we move on and that we break free. So I encourage you this week to really look at the shadow factor and what is going on beneath and hidden. And we know that, of course, when we want to come into a state of awakened or enlightenment, we need to deal with the shadow, everything that's in the dark. It's the unconscious becoming conscious. So we want to look at the shadow side of Taurus. And of course, this has to do with relationships because Saturn is still in Libra, Jupiter is still in Aries. And so it can be a situation at times where we would like a relationship, but Taurus looks at things very practically. And, we can want a relationship like we want a new car or a new vase or a new possession. Like we're just going to take this person and we're going to add them into our life. But we're not going to change. It's not going to modify us. It's not going to have an impact on us. This is going to be like a new piece of furniture. And I'm going to enjoy it, and it's going to be fun. But, the polarity of Taurus is Scorpio. And that says that, what we relate to and what we become involved with does impact us, does change us, does transform us. And so there is this kind of incorporating that is necessary to do, and that Taurus can most definitely resist. So there is this, going on behind and underneath the scenes or whatever. The bottom line shadow of Taurus is, I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough self-worth. I don't feel worthy. And that kind of a shadow can create all kinds of actions, all kinds of words, and in this case, arguments, as Venus and Mercury and Mars travel through these last degrees of Aries. It is the sign of anger. And of course, this can be bitter words, and these can be arguments, and these can be about finances, they can be about relationships. With that Sun and Moon in Taurus, they can be about possessions, money, and even our sexual needs, our sexual appetites, and just wherever we may feel threatened. So Taurus can react. And this weekend in particular, the moon moves down into Cancer, opposes Pluto, squares Saturn, comes in and squares Uranus, and then Sunday it moves a little farther and squares this Mercury, Venus, and I mean, Saturday and Sunday, this weekend is like, wow. The squares have to do with, feeling like we are boxed in. And when we look at Taurus put together with Cancer, it's I, me, my needs, my way, my money, my body, my home, my security. There's a whole lot of emphasis, and particularly in this first quarter, which is very much I-centered. Right? So it can be relationships now can really bring in places where we are unflexible and places where we meet ourselves and our needs on very deep levels. And of course, this can create, like I said, a lot of doubt and a lot of concern and a lot of worry. I think that the best way through all of this is to look at the bright side of Taurus and that bright side of Cancer. Yeah, with all of this fiery stuff in Aries that wants more and wants to break free and pioneer and start new things, Taurus wants to then also appreciate and really step into a place of gratitude and look at the cup is half full instead of half empty. And we have beautiful bodies, and we have beautiful flowers, and we have a beautiful planet, and there are so many things to focus on besides what's getting us all stirred up. And instead of the hornet's nest just going wild on us this weekend, and bringing up all of this past residue and all of the hurts from the past. And of course, Cancer is our childhood wounds and our emotional wounds and our little boy and the little girl inside that's gone unfed or unnurtured for so long. Wow, it's really coming into a place, the place of peace, the place of joy for this week is a place of I am whole and I am complete and I am in joy with myself, alone, in this world, in this beautiful planet, with all of the love and all of the appreciation that's coming from so many different directions. And sometimes Taurus can be like a blindfolder where it's just looking at this little world, like the racehorse with the blinders on. And it's just this. And what we want to do with Taurus is, and of course this is really good with the moon in Gemini. Gemini is opening us up, yeah? So Thursday and Friday, as that moon is in Gemini, look around, and make new friends and make new connections and really step into this place of the open heart and the big heart. And then when it comes to this weekend and some of these insecurities come up, some of these doubts come up and these fears come up, it is time to just really realize the power of your own creative potential. If we step into our God self, our goddess self, and we allow and relax and breathe and smile, it makes a world of difference. And so the patience and the endurance and the perseverance of Taurus are what's going to pull us through all of this neediness. And, Taurus can often be like the castle, and this is mine, and this is my castle, and the drawbridge goes up, and you're not coming in here, and you're not going to steal my, treasure. The danger of that, of course, is that the castle is under siege. And everything from the forest and the water and the food that the gardens bring, that's outside those walls. Pretty soon you starve and you stagnate and you fall into a place of boredom and just loneliness and isolation. So drop down that gate. Allow in the Scorpio. Allow in the unknown. Sometimes the very powerful, and we're afraid of being overwhelmed by forces beyond our control. The armies are bigger than our army or whatever. But as we allow the Scorpio energy to blend with that Taurus energy, and we let this Aries, and Aries is about protection. The warrior wants to protect what is mine and what is good and what is here. And it's just weighing out and coming into a balance and understanding that the unknown actually holds within it a future potential that Spirit wants us to realize. So play with the unknown. Let in the unknown. And the last thing that I wanted to mention, what was that? Yes, anger. Aries and this Mercury, Venus, Mars going on in these late degrees of Aries really brings up anger. And we know that anger is an emotion that is got something underneath it, something behind it. So before you just lash out with harsh words or, your anger, just kind of check yourself. There's a shadow. Your buttons are being pushed. When you get angry, when you get triggered, when your anger gets triggered, it's a sure sign that there's something going on behind or underneath, that your shadow has been running the program. So really look at that and remember that the shadow is learned behavior patterns from our parents and from our childhood that are no longer serving us. And so look at those patterns, or look what you've been told. Look at the stories that you've bought into. And let go of those stories and write a new story. Moon's in Gemini, write a new story. Because so much of this is Maya, so much of this is just story. Just let it go and move on. Next week is going to be a lot better. The sun goes into the moon goes into Leo on Monday, and, it's going to lighten up a little bit, and, things are going to ease, So have a good time with it all. Play the game. And you're going to win and you're going to lose, and it all evens out in the end. Namaste.